Sai Krishna Pulluru, a very warm welcome and thank you for being with us on today's Sports Talk by Sports Paddock. My name is Sunaina and I'll be your host for today. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunaina, for inviting me to the talk. It's a pleasure being here, and I would love to share about our work that we've been doing here, and even about my journey as requested. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot behind your journey, and to start off, let's dive into the first inspirational job that you had with pro sports development, which inspired you to get into the sector of grassroots. So when you joined this sector, what were the highlights of your journey in this company? Can you tell us a little more about grassroots and how it has played such an important role in our country, especially?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was my first internship, and even my first full-time work within India. In India, so it offered me a great experience of the state of the Indian sports in India. You know, I mean, I just finished my master's in sport management, and when I came back, I was looking for opportunities. And when I found it, I straight away, applied, and I was fortunate to get through. And once I was here, it offered me a real picture of the grassroots sport, or even I should say just sports. You know, I mean, because sports was still back in 2014, it was still picking up. I mean, it's always on that upward trajectory, right? We can never say
it's not reached, it's not stagnated.
It's always, exactly. So we are always on that upward trajectory. So I came at 7 years back. I mean, we can say that we were still a bit behind where we are right now, right? Okay. So it offered me that clear picture. I mean, what is the scene at the grassroots, and particularly this project that I was working with through pro sport development, the Kehl Vikas project was based out of a rural and tribal setting
in Odisha.
So we were working with 4 schools. Few were, I mean, we can say they're closer to us, rural, and a couple of them were in tribal locations, or almost.
Okay. Lovely.
So that was my first time, I mean, venturing into that kind of atmosphere, tribal. I mean, I've grown up in rural settings, but getting to know families, children from the tribal setting, and their lifestyle and their priorities, it was quite enlightening, I would say. I mean, to have a perspective, to gain some perspective on that note. But when we talk about you know, the importance of grassroots sport, we kind of, I mean, ignore that. I mean, we see sport as a whole, right? We see sport as a whole, and we kind of, I mean, we struggle to distinguish the different elements of that complete sport and physical activity.
Is this only with rural or in urban as well?
I feel, I mean, it's more or less across, and I think that's changing nowadays. Yes. I see quite a few organizations, even the government, picking up on the long-term athlete development models, ensuring the right support is provided at the right age. You know, that's very important, because we can't treat a 9-year-old kid the same way as an 18-year-old youth, you know, a teenager. So those are the changes that have been coming up over the last 5-6 years, if we see, and now they're picked up huge momentum, I would say. In fact,
and you need to identify them at an early age as well, right? You can't let them decide that they want to become professional at that prime age and then start training them. They need to be ready at their prime stage to be like trained better.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's why, I mean, the grassroots sports and the physical education and all, they play a huge role, you see, because they build those foundational blocks, which miss if they're not provided. And then if the child or the parent, you know, the organization, the academy realize that they want this kid to be, I mean, help them to become professional. That's not the case. So whereas with a strong physical education and a strong grassroots culture, you get these foundation skills, these motor skills that are very important for an athlete to perform at the elite level. You see, I mean, these are a bit, let's say, I mean, these are a bit similar to, if you try to apply it, let's take the importance of primary school, the middle school, and high school. In that path where you become an undergraduate or postgraduate later in the future, how important is the primary, middle, or high school, or even let's say intermediate education? Without those, you can't be a postgraduate or undergraduate, right? Because these lay the basic skills, these lay the foundation for you. In the same way, for sport, when we break it down to its basics, I mean, at the early ages, the child needs to master the motor skills, the fundamental movement skills, the agility, balance, coordinations, the jumping, throwing, running, catching, these kind of skills they have to master, because those are the skills that you draw upon to master in one sport. Because a sport comprises of different sets of motor skills. So if we provide these fundamentals at the early age, at the young age, that's what the long-term athlete development emphasizes on as well. And gradually by the age of 13, 14, 15, then the kids can start entering or choosing one or two sports to specialize or to go for the performance.
True. Once their foundation is rock solid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is this what you did with Kehl Vikas as well? Like, is this the initiative that you took?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where I was introduced to long-term athlete development as well as a concept. The team that we had over there was already working there. It was a very diverse team, people from India, from outside India, from different specializations, but a highly motivated team. I mean, everybody wanted to bring some change. I mean, bring on some impact at that rural tribal level. I mean, that was the pulling factor for everyone. And
so you used to go there and used to sort of train kids as well as spread awareness about benefits of sports, like you rightly said, on and off the field?
Over there, I mean, our team was based out of Mahuda, I mean, which was close to Berhampur. It's also known as Brahmapur. So it's a small team. We were all based out of there, based out of that project office. And only one school was close by to where we were staying. The remaining 3 schools were in distant locations. So what we did was, first we recruited the physical education teachers for all these schools. Yeah, because we were directly working with the schools. So first we wanted to focus on the physical education, because as much as the academic education is important, physical education equally plays a role. So that's what we tried to emphasize on. First, we recruited the physical education teachers. And then we ensured the existing teachers, the academic teachers, understood the importance of it. So we kind of, I mean, did a meeting with all the teachers within that school premises and ensured like what we are trying to do, how it's going to benefit the children, and how the teachers and us, like, all of us have to work together. Because we were working with schools that were run by a local NGO. So we tried to build that bridge, we tried to build that consensus among us, and we were working towards it. I mean, Kehl Vikas was the organization which was working there. It's a local NGO which has been working for numerous years in Odisha. So they were running these schools, and PSD, Pro Sport Development, and Kehl Vikas came together to start the Kehl Vikas project within these schools.
Okay, lovely.
And going back to your question, that's what, I mean, predominantly we were trying to do. I mean, first we started with the physical education, to ensure that every week, I mean, children had minimum number of classes, access to the PE classes, where the PE classes had a curriculum that we should follow.
You designed. Oh, okay.
That was designed by our team. I mean, from resources that were available on the internet and from various organizations. And it focused on building these foundational skills, the fundamental movement skills, the motor skills. I mean, those highlighted these skills. And gradually we started the after-school sports programs as well, in athletics, in badminton, and in volleyball, and weightlifting. Weightlifting, there's a huge culture for weightlifting in the southern Odisha and even in Odisha, but we were mostly based out of the southern Odisha. So there's a huge culture for weightlifting. So, and gradually we opened up a center of excellence for weightlifting.
Lovely.
Where the children transition, from the school program, weightlifting program, to this elite youth program. where they were all invited. I mean, they were all part of this elite youth program where they were staying in the same campus where we were staying. And we have set up the COE facility over there itself with all, with the state, almost state of the art infra and makeshift gym infra that we could possibly do at that time. With all that setup, it did yield results. Definitely. There was constant improvement in their motor skills and eventually in their performance as well. Particularly when we take the team's volleyball or badminton, and even athletics and weightlifting, when they went out to participate in the block level competitions or the district level competitions, the kids did see a change, and even the school saw a change in their performance levels.
That's lovely. And I'm sure that was a big chip on your shoulder for both Pro Sports Development and Gram Vikas. I'm sure you guys were like really happy. But I'm sure with all these successes, there must have been some hurdles as well, right? What are the challenges that you faced along the way? There's no story that goes without a few bumps along the way.
Absolutely. I wouldn't deny that. End of the day, we were working with academic institutions, right? Schools predominantly. So the balance between the academics and the sports, physical education. And the second one, we were working with, youth, girls and boys from from remote backgrounds, from underprivileged backgrounds,
Okay.
So they come from, their families live in very, difficult situations, tough situations, which was not, easy enough for children to pursue their dreams. So when their families come from such difficult situations, where there were moments where children had to drop out, or we were always trying to convince their parents or their family members, despite the struggles that they had, the education, if the organizations are supporting their education, please do continue. Let them continue with their education,
Okay.
And that was one of the significant, trying to convince them that change, that education is important.
But was it more of financial restraints, or was it more of societal norms restraint? Because it's not always that a family would support their child always going and playing more as compared to studying. Maybe studying is something that they just have to do, but it's not always that sports is supported, not just because they're financially not very strong, but because they don't see it as a norm in the society. What was the struggle there?
Absolutely. Like you said, definitely, there are still areas where we don't see it as a norm, no doubt about that, not denying it. But it's a mix of both the societal norms and then the financial struggles that they go through. A kid is at 18, 19, there is a possibility that if he or she is going for some employment, they would be bringing some financial money into the house, So at that level, it's difficult to debate, when there is family living on a daily basis. So that's where the struggles are. That's where, but we are glad that most of the parents eventually, with the support of the school and our PE teachers and our coaches, we managed to convince the parents. We should say we should say thanks to them. Because now we still our team. They're still in touch with few of the children from the sports program when we were doing earlier. Then they continued their education. They finished their undergraduation in physical education, and they went for some specialization courses in weightlifting. And now they're able to look for employment opportunities in Odisha. So, it might be few, but it shows that there are challenges. But if there is constant support and guidance, that you can overcome those. Yeah, you can overcome those. Challenges are available everywhere, but it's just we have to offer that guidance, but at the same time offer the support. Guidance. We can say. We can mentor them, oh, this path is very good for your child, or, as a kid, hey, maybe you should go down this path. But at the same time, we were fortunate that their education, everything was taken care of by the schools that we were working with. So the parents had one thing less to worry about, so that helped us as well.
This is for both girls and boys, or was girls a different
both
situation
boys
altogether?
And girls, but particularly for girls, the early child marriages was an issue. As soon as they were, close to 16, 17, we used to encounter these, and this was a challenge for us at that time.
For
but
both
that's where,
pro
again,
sports as well as Anantapur, or did you mainly face it with pro sports?
Predominantly in Odisha, where we were working, we were very remote and tribal, but we do face similar incidents even here in Anantapur, where we are working. We do have such incidents, but thankfully, within the organizations, we have a team for it exclusively, which works on works on creating awareness. And whenever such incidents are reported, our team, with the presence of the field teams that we have, our organization, our teams reach to the location and arrive at the location and try to provide the right support to ensure that children are taken away from that that situation. Yeah.
And I'm sure Anantapur, since you've been there for so many years, first starting off as a coordinator and now currently being the director of Anantapur Sports Academy, just to give a brief about Anantapur, it's an organization which actively aims to bring about awareness as well as provide an opportunity for kids to play and also know the benefits of sports. And you have three beautiful points which you've mentioned as well, which is access, educate, and empower. So with these very powerful words and being an ASA and you being in it for so long, what are the measures that have been taken and to bring about such changes? I'm sure it wasn't just like overnight.
Yeah, definitely. Because see, sport made its way into RDT, Rural Development Trust, where I'm working now. Back in late 70s, in fact, 79, 80 itself. Our organization used kabaddi, which was very rurally, very predominant sport. Everybody has access, everybody plays. So that was one of the first sport our organization used back in late 70s, early 80s. And it was only in around 2000s, Moncha Ferrer, he initiated a formal program, called Anantapur Sports Academy. He's currently our program director. He initiated, having seen the change sport brought when he was playing, here in Anantapur. He has seen himself, the change that sport brought between the communities, between the children when he was playing. Thanks to that, he saw the potential, and since 2000, the program started taking a formal shape, and gradually we have been evolving since then. We have been evolving. We have been incorporating new changes as per the demands, as per the needs of the communities or the children within Anantapur.
Definitely, and it's been recognized also. You have big players also coming to Anantapur to see what you've been doing as well.
True. We are pleased. We are fortunate that people recognized, they acknowledge what is being put in at the grassroots level, at the rural level. It gives further motivation to our team, to see such reputed professionals coming here, to observe the program and to interact with the team and the children. It kind of gives that push, a further motivation and push. And coming back to the recent years, like I said, you asked earlier, right? Sport, that I used to say that sport is still perceived as a performance factor, but not as a development factor. That's more or less, like I said, it's seen everywhere, So, but the thing with one of the important factor with sport is just by playing sport, we are not going to see those changes as a result of just playing sport. We as coaches, trainers, we have to create that atmosphere. That environment has to be created. That safe, healthy environment, fun environment has to be created for the child. When he or she is participating, they have to experience it. That's the most important thing with sport participation. So that's the area that we have been working on over the last few years. I mean, we have been trying to work on a curriculum again. I mean, to combine the life skills, the values, and also to shed light on. I mean, to bring awareness on the existing social inequalities issues among the children. To create safe spaces where they can discuss, where they can talk about those existing social issues, or create that social awareness among them. You know,
how do you create such an environment? What is it? What can you mention? One task or one initiative that you've taken to ensure that a girl is okay talking about why she can't play football, or a boy is okay that post 17 he still wants to play cricket and give it that shot. How do you create that environment?
Well, for the first one that you pointed out, if I can say, I mean, that's a discussion. You can't just bring children or the stakeholders together and just initiate a discussion. There has to be some sort of proof as well. And I'm glad that you brought it up as well, because I always give this example, which I really am fond of. Back in 2017, we started the mixed gender football.
Okay.
Mixed gender football festival. We have started for the first time. We never thought about it. I mean, at that time, our team, everyone together, we were focusing on exploring ideas, how to bring more girls or into the sport, or how to make the other gender, boys sensitive, or to understand that both boys and girls can play sport right from a young age, and they can pursue if whoever wishes to, And 2017, we went ahead, I mean, and we organized the first mixed gender football festival. And it was definitely a difficult task. First time bringing boys and girls to play together, there were apprehensions, there was a little bit of resistance. But with continuous discussions our team had with the local youth and the local stakeholders in the villages, we managed to somehow bring few teams to Anantapur Sports Village. And we finished the 2-3 day event. And end of the event, on the third day, second day, I guess, the best player of the under-9, and this mixed gender festival we were organizing for under-7 and under-9. We wanted to start
really small.
To show that, I mean, there were no rules. It's a very free-flowing and fun, but at the same time, you do have goals. So end of the event, I mean, the best player, when the best player was announced, it was a player named Anusha. She was from Atmakur village. And everybody, I mean, it was like an, what do you say, light bulb moment, Hey, boys and girls are given equal opportunities.
And a girl came out as the best player as well.
Yes, and anybody can be the best when equal opportunities, or equitable opportunities, as we say lately, to both of them. So this kind of, I mean, initiated the big discussion among our football to start with, and that led to support coming in, and we started working with Foundation La Liga in that on that front. And when we created that access to equipment equitably for both boys and girls, since that partnership took off, we managed to, I mean, the girls' participation increased by almost 295% in 1 year.
Wow.
When that equipment access was equally available, for both boys and girls. And then the discussion was a organic one since then. So both the local community stakeholders and our team members, our management, everybody together, we started initiating those discussions. What we felt was, I mean, the most important thing is to make everyone part of this discussion. It can't be one man or one person, approach. So one good thing was the dialogue or the discussion was very participatory. Yes, I mean, few people had ideas, but in all this, we always engaged the community members. So currently we're working, I mean, in football itself, we are working close to 26 plus clubs, the Mandal football clubs, we call community football clubs. So whenever we kind of, this take a decision on this front, our team members, they invite all these members together and we discuss and see the pros and cons, how we can make this work, how we can make this happen, what are the challenges, how we can work together to overcome those challenges, what resources do they require, what support do we have to provide. So this is how the discussion goes around. And when the decision is taken collectively with the community members involved, with RDT, ASA, all of us involved, all the stakeholders involved, the PE teachers, and that's the result of where we are right now, I would say.
Wow, and it's inspiring, because I'm sure you've been there for so long to know and understand what sort of bottlenecks they have and what sort of troubles they have. And once you know what they are going through and understand what they're going through, I think then you'll be able to have those healthy discussions and sort of like unknot these tangles. And you clearly have done it, because even in TAL, we've seen your players in both football for men and women's, and for cricket as well in our season 1. And we've seen such fantastic performances. Your cricket team itself is one of the toppers of the table, football as well. And for women, such fighters on the field, like we've seen such amazing performances. So them participating in outside events, since they're very comfortable with Anantapur, the academy, familiar faces like yourself and your coaches, how are such experiences coming outside Anantapur for them? Like, what have you experienced and seen?
I would say, it's very helpful. When the opportunity came on, back 3 years before, I guess. Yes. First it was for the TAL football. We were exploring, how would that pan out? How would that give us give our players, our children, the next level of exposure, or the much needed impetus for their growth on that front, on the sporting and the personal front as well. Number one, I would say what we were looking at was the exposure. We always see that when teams or children between rural and urban, there is that dearth in exposure. Exposing ourselves to different and various situations where you put yourself in and kind of take decisions and help yourself to become more confident and to work with others, in different situations. So that exposure was the number one that we were looking at. Wow. And we are glad that it definitely worked out quite well for our athletes. Since the first, talking about the football, over the last 3 years, we have been fortunate that once our athletes got that platform to play in TAL, thanks to the exposure and then what they get to see from other teams, other systems, other cultures, how they are set up, how they approach sport, football per se. They pick on those things, they pick those things up and they try to add it to their own personal routine or personal path. And thanks to that, our athletes got scouted into various divisions of leagues.
Lovely.
Various leagues in Bangalore, So this kind of offered them one path to continue their development pathway. Every athlete has their pathway, right? They have to pick their, pick their points at each path to continue to progress to the next level. So ASA, we were doing our bit, and then these leagues, they kind of bridge that gap.
Platform.
Yes, it gives these athletes a platform to transition or to progress to the next level. And numerous athletes have been scouted, have been recruited into different clubs in Bangalore, so far in football. And recently we started with the cricket league as well.
Yes.
And we are glad. We are glad and we are excited that they're already in the
top of the table.
But at this, the age that we are working with, the result right now is not at all a priority for us. The development of individual athlete is the priority for us.
Yeah.
So the idea was to create multiple opportunities for these athletes to participate in such events, such leagues. So they get to experience for themselves what it takes to make it to the next level, and likewise, how it happened for football, we hope to see the same for cricket as well. We hope to see these athletes, these young athletes getting opportunities to play for other teams in Bangalore, in different environments, where it helps them to go further.
And such initiatives are very helpful for player development. As you've been in this sector, such initiatives like TAL and having such tournaments will give them that extra exposure and knowledge. And in cricket, I've personally seen your players. I constantly kind of pull them out for interviews, which is another way of sort of putting them out of their comfort zone, because they're not used to someone asking them questions about their game, their performance, from captains to man of the matches. We want to put them on that platform and that pedestal when they perform so well. And even though they're extremely shy to take these interviews, we know that they like seeing their interviews when it's up on Facebook or it's up on Instagram. So it's a big, like, what can I say, smile on our face as well when we see their happiness.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It does play a role. I mean, nowadays, social media, technology, I mean, and sports, they can't go in separate ways. I mean, they go very much hand in hand. And athletes, I mean, young children, seeing themselves in I mean, of course, in a safe and in a healthy manner, but seeing themselves and talking about their performance, or somebody acknowledging their performance, it's a huge booster for their confidence and their ability to continue down that path. I mean, so we need those kind of moments, those kind of moments to motivate the children to continue down that path despite the challenges that they overcome on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And this will like take away their fear as well if they're ever put in a similar situation a couple of years down the line, because they know, okay, I've done this before. So it's a very good plan. So since you've had so many experiences and you've come up such a long way in Anantapur, what are your current plans with Anantapur? Or like, have you carved out something for the next year? I mean, despite pandemic, I'm sure it's been a patchy year as well, but what are your plans for ASA?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely it's been a patchy year. I mean, unfortunate because of the COVID. I mean, we are in sport, but there's been much more damage in other areas, which is much more essential, to human life. But it's been a very uncertain year, right? I mean, after the COVID first wave, everybody, I mean, we all restarted, but unfortunately the second wave came in. I mean, it was much more serious. But I mean, we never know, I mean, how the situation is going to pan out now. Hopefully, we hope that there's not going to be a third wave. We take the necessary precautions and follow the safety guidelines. But assuming that there's no third wave coming, we are looking forward to inaugurating our first female football academy.
Really? We have, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, we've been running programs in cricket, football, hockey, judo, in residential capacity. In fact, I mean, football is the only sport we haven't had a residential program all this while, but we have been working on this for the last 2 years, and we have charted out a plan, and we have transitioned ourselves into the residential setup. We didn't want to start a residential academy just like that out of the blue. We wanted to make sure that there is a proper model. So since 2 years, we've been running our non-residential girls academies, where we've pulled few girls. We have scouted them in the whole Anantapur district, and we have set two teams, and we have continuously provided them the exposure. And those were the teams actually who participated in the TAL women football competitions.
Yes, we saw
so,
them.
Wow. And finally now, I mean, we are looking forward to starting the football residential academy for girls. So with that, we're going to have 50% equal ratio for boys and girls residential academies. So that's something quite a positive note, I mean, that we are looking forward to. And second, I mean, we are working, like I said, the curriculum. We are trying to incorporate, I mean, one, the life skills values, which covers, and the second one, which covers the aspects of sport development through long-term athlete development. Following the long-term athlete development. I mean, until the age of 9, what the kid has to learn in terms of sport. And also equally, they'll be having a curriculum for life skills and values at that intensity, what they need to be aware of, what they could learn at that age. And likewise, it progresses to 11 years, to 13 years, and finally till 18 years. So that's how we are trying to combine both curriculums, one, the sporting side, and then the most important one, the life skills, values part. So we combine this curriculum, and this curriculum is something that we are looking forward to. So it's still in process, but we are pretty much excited about it.
Yes,
our team has been working on this during this while. During the pandemic, when the kids are back in their homes, our team has been tremendously been working on this. So we are pretty much looking forward to it, to take it to the fields, to start implementing it and to learn from it. And also to continue the study that we have started 2 years back, to study the impact of sports in rural India. So, being in a development field, and particularly, in sport for development, there's not much data available, to validate that sport really has an impact. Most of the programs that are started, or most of the programs that are running right now, it all has been started because one person or few people together, they believed in the power of sport. They might have experienced it while they were playing.
Correct.
Or they might have seen when others played, and just out of their passion, their interest, these programs have come up. Yeah. But somewhere down the line, when you're in a development field, you need data, which complements the positive impact that we are talking about. So that's something, we are looking forward to restart again. Last year we couldn't, because of the pandemic and because of not much activity for not being taken place. So that's something, we are looking forward to restart, and to make sure that always there is such type of data is being put out there to help, the field grow further.
Absolutely. This is something which I've not heard many people do, because it's not the easiest as well, like collecting data and actually putting it out there and showing proof that, okay, this concept actually works. Because there are just a handful of people who solely, like you rightly said, believe in this concept and actually act on it. Because as pretty as it sounds, as they say, initial early player development, kids need to learn this, it is hard. It is hard to get that group of people playing together and actually getting a good set of people to teach them the right values. Because good products come with good manufacturing tools, which are the coaches. You coaches are the ones who actually imbibe these good values, these good skills in these kids. So it's a big kudos to Anantapur, and we've seen the results ourselves. And it's not just us saying it, but they are outperforming so many groomed players who are in this urban sector. So a big hats off to you, and we're so impressed with what your organization has been doing, and we hope to see you guys do even better, like you rightly said, with your goals.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sunaina, for your kind words. We all have a role to play, to ensure that the field of sport further grows. And when we fill in our roles, or when we bridge those gaps, that's when a child could really possibly, make their dreams come true, because everybody will be playing their roles, right from the schools, organizations like ours, and event organizers, or institutions like TAL, Sports Paddock. All these coming together will be ensuring that the child has a proper pathway for their development.
And they see a path as well. They know that, okay, I have a chance to do it. It's not like it's bleak. It's like they think that, okay, if I have to become a pro, I have to become like Ronaldo, I have to become like a Sunil Chetri. No, there is a path where you can gradually grow. You can experience all levels of sports, from grassroots till intermediate and professional. There's a path to it.
Exactly.
And you guys are the ones who are doing it. So it's amazing, Sai. And we're very, very happy with what you're doing. And thank you for sharing the whole story with us, actually. I think our viewers would be very happy with this.
I'm glad. We have to, there are numerous stories out there. We have to get those stories out. That's how, as a community, as a field, will even grow further, and we become stronger. So And I'm glad that you guys have taken up on this opportunity, to bring such stories together and to give us a platform to put it out there and to motivate people. I'm glad, and I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you. Thanks to you and your team.
Thank you. Thank you. And this is not the first talk. If and when we get to know your new academy has started, we'll definitely get on one more interview and get this story out. It's a never-ending one where constant success, constant stories, we'll want to know everything. So until then,
absolutely.
Thank you, Sai.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care and stay safe. Yeah.
Take care, Sai. Bye-bye.